Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another video. I'm going to be talking about video games, whether they influence people to be shooters, just like the gunman from Sandy Hook and the Texas school shooter, and it's all coming from the Fox News. Honestly, people, it's not really hard to explain the situation. It's not, I'm still going to give my argument about it, but to be real, video games are not the cause. It's pretty obvious. It all depends on the person. It's the mentality that the person has that enables them to do these outrageous actions and be able to become merciless serial killers. But I guarantee you video games isn't the cause. And what I do find funny is that you never hear from the Fox News mentioning violent movies or violent shows. Like for example, there are a lot of horror movies that are being made, way more horror movies that are being made compared to back in the day. And I'm gonna give my opinion still. There's still more that you have to hear from me so that you have a better understanding, so you can comprehend what really could be the cause, if anything, because it all depends on the person. Just to let you guys know, it all depends. Some people, they personally could just simply have a rough childhood, or they try to fit in with the wrong crowd, or because maybe possibly people that they're surrounded with enable them to have this toxic behavior where it comes to being violent and robbing people of their jewelries, their money. And you'll notice this trend, but you never hear especially in court, when the judge asks them what caused them to commit this crime, you never hear the aggressor or the defendant talking about video games. You never hear anybody talk about how video games has affected their life. So it really has to do with the fact that if anything, when you hear from them, it's more about the type of people that they're around that are making them become toxic. It could be the amount of abuse that they're going through. It could just be that people like pressure them into doing these like deplorable actions, being more aggressive, because they feel that's their only way to communicate in order for someone to be able to trust them, in order for someone to be able to support them. They feel that's the only way people can actually be able to understand. They want to be able to be accepted by those people that they're surrounded with. So it's not entirely video games. It's very hard to believe whether video games cause. I personally think they're just using this as an excuse to try to get them more views, to manipulate parents into thinking that they should stop their kids from playing video games. But there are a lot of kids, even though they play a lot of Fortnite, they play a lot of GTA, Call of Duty, they turn out very good for themselves. It is true though, when it comes to video games, there are a lot of kids that get addicted. I was in that scenario when I was very young. I saw myself be in that position. I was in that position, but let's be real though. The reason why kids get angry when they're playing video games, they don't like being interrupted. They feel their games come first more than anything because of how much they enjoy it. But Fox News is clearly trying to create this propaganda. They're trying to make video games a taboo. And at the same time, they're only doing it for themselves. It's literally just an excuse because they don't really have the right answer. Honestly, let's be real, people. They don't have the right answer. Because it's the fact that automatically some video games are the cause of people being violent, using guns, going after innocent people. The only time violence is ever justified, if it's out of self-defense, if a person won't stop harassing you, and it gets to the point that you want to de-escalate it so that you can make a point. If that person happens to be very hostile towards you and you realize words won't cut it for them, then sometimes you have to take action in order for that person to stop. in order for that person, in order to get to halt the person from being a nuisance. But again, Voxer is also a nuisance too, because what they're saying is completely outrageous. It's a complete hoax. It's completely BS. It's just simply they don't really have the answer. Like I said, it's just to help them get views, to convince the parents to be more strict with their kids, to have them stop playing video games, or to play video games a lot less. And I do understand where the parents are coming from, because some of the parents do seem naive. They're not too sure how to control their kids, because they feel that they spoil their kids, and now they want to be able to reason with their kids and then try to raise them so that they don't become video game addicts, or so that they don't live a toxic life. But to be honest, let's not just talk about kids. There are adults that love playing video games, who mostly sit on their ass playing video games, who do it for a living, especially on YouTube. And to say that affects kids, it also affects adults too. But video games can lead to a bad spot, but not in a violent situation. Not where the person does end up being a serial killer or a gunman. Because if anything, video games enable laziness. They enable obsession, because people who are obsessed with video games, they feel that's how they enjoy life. That's how they can enjoy their life. And considering their life is short, because people don't live for approximately too long, so they want to make their life worth it by being able to play video games during their spare time and then move on into something important. Because there are adults that do have lives, but with kids, that there are times where it's important for the kid, even though they may be playing video games, they have to get into sports. They need to get into certain hobbies that'll make them become more active, in order for them to adapt with other kids, be able to learn and educate themselves. And video games do not teach them anything. I think if anything, video games does not make kids become violent. It just makes them become lazy, and then they lose focus on real life, because they feel that video games for them is how they want to live their life. And even though it does not compare to reality, but the parents should just let the kids know that you can't be playing video games your entire life. I'll be honest, I used to play a lot of video games, but I realized I need to put that aside and do other things in life to help better myself, or find ways that I can prove that I have other talents besides playing video games. Because even if you're good at video games, does not mean does not entirely prove that you have talent. Because when we're talking about talent, we're talking about talent outside of video games, outside of eating. Because what I mean by talent is that in order to prove that you're talented, you want to impress people, that you are capable of doing certain things, whether it's video editing, presentation, entertainment, support, for sharing knowledge, and like I said, being able to teach others and educate others, and how they can be able to enhance their skills, if you guys get what I mean. So it all has to do with, in order to have talent, you have to prove what you're capable out of in reality, outside of video games. So I think that's really what is important, besides thinking that video games do influence kids to become violent. Yes, it enables kids to be more and enables them to be more a nuisance. It enables them to be more addicted. It enables them to be more rude, but does not mean that it will somehow eventually lead to them being violent. It does not manifest to the point where they're gonna go out and then they're gonna imagine that they are that serial killer, or they want to pose as a threat to the real world. But again, it's not video games. Yeah, can be fun. They are. It is hard to break the cycle, to try to avoid cutting down on playing a certain number of hours, but there are times where it is not really a talent. It's just people do it when only during their spare time when they feel bored or if they have nothing better to do. But outside of video games, you want to prove your talents because playing video games is not really a talent. Anybody can be good at a video game because also video games does not determine your skill, but helps you determine how much you understand the game. And pretty much if you're good at it, anybody can be good at it depending how easy the game is. Because it's something that everyone has a chance of playing and being able to accomplish it, like depending how easy the game is. So it's not a game. Winning a video game should not really be a surprise depending how easy it is. If, for example, like Pokemon is easy to beat, you just have to grind your Pokemon to a certain level so that you can be able to accomplish like throughout all the Pokemon battles and be able to get to the end where you end up facing off the legendary Pokemons and then defeating the champion. But again, video games does not prove that you're talented. If anything, to prove that you're talented, you have to show off your skills in reality. So what I mean is, again, find a hobby that you're interested in that will impress people, and then they'll be able to like show. They'll be able to maybe who knows, maybe they'll be able to advertise your name. People will be able to mention you through other popular companies or popular groups, and then that's what helps you build that support. So the more supporters you have, the chances are that you pretty much proved how talented you are. So that way you want to impress people, so you can be able to gauge your audience, and that your audience can tell you what you could possibly be doing wrong, and you could be able to sort out depending on how much you focus and what you realize where your talent is coming from, and that when you are the influencer, you can learn from your audience and you can learn from your fans, and that you can do better, and that the encouragement will help you keep growing. And again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check for more upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.